for today, because today we have some insane price action in the short term here with this massive pump to the upside in the Bitcoin price after we got the CPI data coming in. And right now in the short term, just like I talked about in my last two videos, we have now cleared above these two highs, and the last high to take out ideally in this pump to the upside would be this level right here, which is currently sitting at 65.5K. And in that case, potentially we could be looking at a change of market structure, change of price structure, because recently what you have been seeing is just lower highs over and over again. However, right now, if we do clear above this level right here, then we would be setting a new higher high instead of a lower high. And in that case, you could see a change in price structure where you have higher highs and higher lows instead of lower highs and lower lows. So in my opinion, even though this does look really good in the short term here, and probably most of you made some good money today, until we clear this high right here, I still do want to remain a little bit cautious, even though I got a crazy trade that I will show in a second here. So even though for now, Bitcoin is still in this descending channel, just consolidating here ever since the top at about 73K, what you are seeing right now is that potentially we've had this fake out to the downside and we are now ready to blast off to the upside if we do clear above these levels that I mentioned here, going all the way to the top of the range at about 71,000 US dollars. And one other thing that I wanted to note on is this RSI momentum indicator, because if you have been watching my videos for, let's say, over a week, you know that I called out this break of the trend line right here in the RSI momentum indicator, because we had this massive descending line of resistance where we kept getting rejected from it over and over again. However, as soon as I saw this break of the trend line to the upside, I told you this could be a potential signal for a reversal in the Bitcoin price. So a reversal to the upside, because whenever the RSI is moving to the upside above this 50 level, the Bitcoin price is then in an uptrend. So in that case, you would also see more bullish momentum in the price action right here. Though there are some things that we must take a look at in the short term here before we get too excited. So let's take a look at those right now. So taking a look at this 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin, recently we got a bounce from this descending line of support, exactly like I called in my recent video, where I said it is likely that we get a bounce here because we are in a major level of support, which is sitting from about 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. And we do have this descending line of support right here. So right now, Bitcoin is blasting to the upside. However, Bitcoin is now also running into this level of resistance right here from 65K all the way up to 66,000 US dollars in the Bitcoin price. So this is very important to note, especially on this 1 hour time frame, because looking at the RSI here, the RSI is at 83 pretty much. And that is definitely way overbought territory. And typically when the RSI is in overbought territory, it means that there is limited room to the upside for the actual price, at least in the short term here. So what you could potentially see is that the price might go up a little bit more, but then needs to cool off a little bit, either by trading sideways or getting a bit of bearish price action, in which case the RSI would reset back to around this 50 level right here. And once it does reset to that 50 level, roughly speaking, then it can actually make its next move either to the upside or to the downside. So that is definitely something to look out for in the short term. Though if we do break above this level of resistance, the next short-term level of resistance would be right here at about 67.2K, which would be some short-term resistance. But in the case that we do break through that as well, then the next big level of resistance above that is from 68.5K all the way up to 70,000 US dollars in the Bitcoin price. So now for my crazy trade, once I saw this break of this trend line right here on the 1 hour time frame, I opened up a pretty insane long position with 135x leverage and got 180% gain on that trade. So obviously I'm really happy with that trade. Now, if you also want to trade with leverage, even up to 200x leverage, I highly recommend you go to the description of this video and sign up to MEXC with this link right here. this is the exchange that I use as well for leverage trading. And the reason I use it is simply because it has very low fees and up to 200x leverage. So once you get on this page, you simply sign up with your email. And once you have done that, then you can deposit. Currently, there's no KYC on this exchange as well. So if you do deposit over $100 in your first 7 days, you do get a free USDT bonus that you can use in a leverage trade as well. So now taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map on the 24-hour time frame, you can see that we still haven't taken out this liquidity to the upside right here at about 65.1K. So that is potentially a level where the Bitcoin price could get attracted to. And then above that on the 24-hour time frame, there's more liquidity at 65.6K. So that would be great if we get to that level, because then we potentially could be seeing a change of structure. Although in the short term here, what you must keep in mind is that we do have some liquidity building up to the downside as well. And in the case that you don't know, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is most liquidity on this chart. And zooming out to the 1 week time frame, you can now see that we have taken out this massive level of liquidity with over $700 million or close to $700 million worth of shorts that just got liquidated on this pump to the upside. And looking on this 1 week time frame, there simply is not a lot of liquidity left to the upside here. So that is something to be careful of, because right now most of the liquidity in this chart, in fact close to $700 million, is sitting at 60.1K. So that is something to be mindful of. And lastly, zooming out to this 1 month time frame, you can see that most of the liquidity is to the upside at 67.4K. And right now the Bitcoin price is starting to get kind of close to reaching these levels. Even when everyone right here at these levels was saying the bull run is over, I still remain, I know I keep repeating myself here, but I still remain of the opinion that we are going to take out this level of liquidity at some point, because of the simple fact that we are in a bull run. And I do think eventually the price goes higher than this level at 67K, roughly speaking. And I also want to show that in this chart right here. In fact, I tweeted about 6 hours ago, 73K was not the top for the cycle. I tweeted this before the pump even happened, because if you simply compare these cycles, so the blue line is the 2015 to 2018 cycle, the green line is the 2018 to 2022 cycle, and this black line that you see right here is the 2022 cycle that we are in right now. What you can simply see is that from the bear market lows, which is all the way on the left side right here, if 73K was the top, we would have a crazy early cycle. You know, it would be way too soon. So in my opinion, I think it is very unlikely. So in my opinion, we do have more bull run left to go, although we don't know what is going to happen in the immediate short term. I'm not going to go fully into it now, but if you are interested in longer term analysis and even some on-chain analysis videos, then I highly recommend you go to my Patreon with the third link in the description of today's video. You can join it for $5 a month, and I make these longer term analysis videos that I simply don't have time to fully go in depth in my videos on YouTube. In fact, these on-chain and long-term analysis videos are sometimes 30 minutes long, and I will be posting another one later this week. So if you are interested in that, then go check it out. Now moving on to the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday on Tuesday, we saw $100 million flow into the Bitcoin ETFs, with most of that coming actually into the ARK Bitcoin ETF. And Grayscale only selling about $50 million worth of Bitcoin, which is only a fourth of what they sell on average, because every single weekday on average, they sell over $200 million worth of Bitcoin ever since the ETFs started trading. So last week, we saw some erratic behavior from these ETFs, where one day we get huge inflows, next day we get small outflow. You know, it was very unpredictable. But right now we are seeing that potentially more inflows are coming soon, especially with this big pump today. I think in tomorrow's video, we are going to again see a massive net inflow. So this is a great development, I think. And especially if we can now start forming higher highs and higher lows, like I talked about earlier in the video, that is going to be a great sign for the crypto market that potentially we are ready to reverse to the upside. Now moving on to Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame right now, because recently Ethereum got rejected from the 0.786 Fibonacci level at $4,000. And the reason I'm on this 4-hour time frame right now is because you can see how perfect these Fibonacci levels have been. So Recently, we got a bounce from the 0.5 Fibonacci level, traded to the upside to the 0.618 Fibonacci level, went back down to the 0.5 Fibonacci level, and we have just been ranging perfectly between these Fibonacci levels. So they have been great entry and exit points for now. And since yesterday, we actually got a perfect bounce from this Fibonacci level once again. So now potentially, if we are taking out some of these highs that I will talk about in a second here in the short-term analysis, but potentially if we take out those highs, we're ready to trade back up to this 0.618 Fibonacci level, which is currently sitting at 33.30. Now getting into that short term right away, because I'm not here to waste your time, this is what I was talking about right here. We saw a perfect bounce from that 0.5 Fibonacci level, holding it perfectly, and are now bouncing from this major level of support as well, which is sitting from $3,000 all the way down to $28.50 for the Ethereum price. So once again, these support and resistance levels have been proven to be very accurate in the short term here. Now, in terms of some short-term levels of resistance, we might get some right here at about $3,000 because this is just a big even level. Very recently, we got a bit of a rejection from that level as well. So once it does clear that level though, the next level above that is at about $3,050. But if you do see the price break through those short-term levels of resistance, then the next big level of resistance above that is sitting from $31.50 all the way up to $32.50. And the biggest thing to look out for Ethereum, in the case that you really want to see a potential reversal to the upside from this big downtrend, is actually this falling wedge pattern on the 4-hour time frame, where we have this descending line of resistance and this descending line of support. And in the case that you don't know, these falling wedge patterns are typically more likely to break out to the upside. Although, like I have been saying in my recent videos, I do think it is very dependent on what Bitcoin actually does in the short term here, because if Bitcoin gets a larger pullback, it doesn't really matter what is happening in this pattern right here. Ethereum will likely just trade to the downside and potentially even break to the downside of this pattern. So that is something to be mindful of. And currently, as of the time of recording, the point of breakout would be roughly at $3,080 for a breakout of this pattern right here. And looking at the RSI on the 4-hour time frame, we still have some room left to run right here. So currently the RSI is at 60, and actually the RSI is not in overbought territories until it reaches a level above 70. So there is some room to the upside on the 4-hour time frame. However, looking at this 1-hour time frame, the RSI is already pretty much in overbought territories already. So potentially in the immediate short term here, the RSI could potentially just dip a little bit into that overbought territories, but after that would need to reset a little bit on the 1-hour time frame. Before then, you can see the RSI in the 4-hour time frame actually push into that overbought territories potentially. Now looking at Solana on the 4-hour time frame as well, which also recently got rejected from the 0.786 Fibonacci level at $205, after which it traded all the way to the 0.5 Fibonacci level with even some wicks as low as $115 for the price of Solana. So that was pretty insane. Either way, in the short term now, it looks like we have held support at this 0.5 level right here and are now trading to the upside again. So let's take a look at the short-term support and resistance levels for Sol. So this is the trend line where Solana held support after getting a fake out right here. It then bounced and traded to the upside, slicing through all these levels of resistance that have now been flipped into support. So the current support level below the price is sitting from $150 all the way down to $140 for the price of Solana. So potentially you could see a bounce from there. If we do move down a little bit, potentially it could bounce from there. However, in the case that we do trade below that level, the next big level of support below that is actually sitting from $133 all the way down to $125 for the price of Solana. But that is about it for the bearish scenarios, because in the case that we do just trade higher from here, we might get some short-term resistance right here at about $155 and then again at $160. But in the case that we do trade above these levels, the next big level of resistance above that is sitting at $166 all the way up to $171 for the price of Solana. Earlier in the video, I showed this long trade that I closed earlier today. However, if you do want to join a crypto community that is just a fun place to be, as well as actually very helpful in terms of asking questions or simply getting feedback on some of your trading ideas, then I highly recommend you join my Discord server for free. You can do it with the first link in the description of this video. So you simply click this link right here, and then you can join for free. This has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.